Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are you and how is everyone doing? For you guys who don't know me, my name is Jordan MacLean and I'm here every Thursday for you to bring you a true crime that's happened here in Canada. How is everyone doing? It's almost New Year's. New Year's is tomorrow and then we go into a brand new year. I want to know what you guys' New Year's resolutions are, if you guys have any. Mine's usually to drink more water. That's usually what I put every year and never disappoint myself, never, upset about my New Year's resolution because I tend to always meet it. I do drink a lot more water. One of those people who has those emotional support water bottles, and I just carry that with me wherever I go, and I always have one and then I buy a new one and I never go back to the old one. I don't know what the deal is with that, but that's just my New Year's resolution. Let me know down below what you guys are going to be doing for your New Year's and what your resolutions will be. So make sure you guys put that down below in the comment section, and I want to see what each and every one of yours is, and then I will be holding you to it. Also, how was your Christmas? Mine was pretty chill. I was supposed to have family come down, but Omicron said no, so we didn't have any family really. It was just my parents, my husband, and me, and that was it, and my dog. That was our Christmas. Super chill, super relaxed. But yeah, so what did you guys do? Did you guys get anything cool? I got a couple of new things for filming, got some lights, got a new stand for my mic, a tripod, stuff like that. I just need to get a better microphone now and then I'll be set to go. I'm super excited for that. I'm going to order one here right away, probably in the new year, and then have that one coming. So today we're going to be talking about a very sad story. It involves 4 people who were shot on the line of duty. If you trigger warning, oh, my dog just moved my light. Trigger warning, it does involve close to Alberta. I'm from Alberta, so it's really close here. It's just really sad. It's in a small town. It's about cops getting murdered. So if any of that stuff kind of is sensitive to you guys, please turn off the video. You do not have to watch. So if you want to see me go from this to this, then stay tuned and we will talk about the tragedy that hit Mayerthorpe. So stay tuned and get ready. I got this, it was all over TikTok a while ago. It's from Amazon and it has all these different colors. Oh, my dog's whining. All these different colors, and I'm super excited. Look at that, just my dream palette. It's got everything under the sun. I'm super excited. So I'm gonna dip into the green today. I saw this thing on TikTok and I was like, I want to do that look. Usually when I say that, the look never comes out right, but it is what it is. So today we're going to be talking about the tragedy that happened in Mayerthorpe. And again, I will be trying to show you guys all the products I will be using on my face beforehand. I usually fail at that. I'm going to go in with the Poreless Putty Primer by e.l.f. and then this old foundation. So the Mayerthorpe tragedy occurred March 3rd, 2005 on a farm of James Roscoe, approximately 11 kilometers north of Rochfort Bridge near the town of Mayerthorpe in the Canadian province of Alberta. So Mayerthorpe, where I live, I would say it's 2.5, maybe 2 hours away from where I live. It's again another small town. Nothing too crazy goes on in Mayerthorpe except for this. Just very small. I always play them when I coach basketball, kind of our rivals, and the other good thing with them is we were always backed each other up, me and the Mayerthorpe coach, because we were always the only female basketball coaches and no one liked us, but we always won. So whatever. Now I'm going to go in with this Catrice True Skin. This stuff is amazing. Go buy it. Alright. So the afternoon of March 2nd, 2005, 2 civil bailiffs went to the farm owned by James to repossess his truck, which James had purchased, but on which he had not made any payments on. So they're like, hey, we're going to come take this truck from you. You're not making any payments. You no longer own this truck. They arrived around 3 p.m. There was a metal gate blocking the road onto the farm, and when James saw the bailiffs coming, he was instantly like, not on my watch, and he released his 2 large Rottweiler dogs who seemed very aggressive. I own a Rottweiler. He's a Rottweiler lab, but you know, he's scary when he barks. He's big. He's like 90 pounds. And I would also run away if I saw 2 giant Rottweilers coming at me. I'd be like, not today. I'm not going to be dog food. So the bailiffs were like, we should probably call the RCMP. We're out, right? The officers who responded to the phone call warned them not to go on the property until RCMP had arrived. James had a criminal record with violent and sexual offenses in the past, so they just really wanted them to be safe, and were like, you know, we'll come and help you, but just to be safe, how about you guys don't go onto the property again? And he also was subjected to firearm possessions, even though he had a prohibition saying he wasn't allowed to have firearms. There was rumors that he did. He was known to the members of Mayerthorpe RCMP and the detachment. Everyone knew him around town as, you know, he's that one guy that you just know is sketchy and you don't want to be around. And he was the dude. So they're like, don't go back on that property. Before RCMP officers could even get there, James got out of his house. He swore, gave the finger to the bailiffs, and then drove off in his truck. The bailiff did say he was unsure if that was the truck that he wasn't doing payments on, but he wasn't 100% sure. Shortly after James drove off, 3 Mounties arrived, including Constable Peter. The bailiff had a legal authority to search the farm for the truck, since they were not sure if the truck that James drove away on was. So they were like, okay, well, go ahead, you know, let's go look around. So they're acting under the authority that the bailiff had broken open the gate. The Mounties confined the dogs into a shed. The group then went on to the farm to find this truck. They found numerous vehicle parts, indicating a lot of the stuff that they found was stolen. So they're like, oh, you know, this isn't looking good. It's looking like a chop shop. And then they came across the marijuana grower. The Mounties released that they needed a search warrant before proceeding any further and left the farm at approximately 4:15 and called the truck as stolen, warning that other officers should be on the lookout for James driving around this truck. So like, we'll do all this for you. We're going to repeat that the truck is stolen, but we can no longer go on any further looking for the truck just because of the grow up and how they don't have the illegal authority being there. So they did the smart thing. They had to like dip out, go get the warrant. Now I'm going to use the Maybelline Full Wear. I love this stuff. I'm a drugstore connoisseur, you might say. I love me some drugstore. I love me some high end. One thing I do need to get in the new year is some setting spray. I want the milk one, the gripping one, and then I want the Anastasia Beverly Hills one, so I can keep my face on. And I have to wear a mask like 8 hours a day for work, so my makeup always falls off, and I always feel like at the end of the day I just look like a wet turtle. So the senior officer in the group, Corporal James Martin, left to obtain the warrant, leaving 2 officers to maintain control of the farm. Corporal Martin returned around 8:40. It is a long time, you know, you need to get like somebody to sign it. You have to get the judges to sign it. It is a lengthy procedure. So he had to go do all this stuff. So it took about 4 hours to get this warrant. Given that expected, so they expected to go in and search. With the search warrant that they got, the warrant was valid for 24 hours. So the Mounties had to work fast, you know. They had to go seize everything. So the Mounties first conducted a security search of the dwelling and the farm to ensure that James was not present. They didn't want to have any, you know, backlash, or they didn't want to accidentally run into him or him to spring up randomly on them and them not knowing, and then it could get ugly. So they did walk around the area. They did look, they called, they're like, he's not here. It is what it is. We will proceed. So they started searching the warrant. While they searched, confirmed James was not on the phone, the RCMP found a radio scanner turned to the frequency of the Whitecourt RCMP detachment on James's residence. So he was kind of like spying on them, kind of figuring out where they were. They also found a list containing a intelligence on numbers and cell phones. So they were like, this guy's creepy. He's, you know, he had all these numbers, all these lists of people There was also night vision scopes and a 309 and a 9mm caliber ammunition laying around, which indicated James was in breach of his fire prohibition. So they're like, this guy's listening in on everyone. This guy's being creepy. We need to find him and we need to get him under arrest so he doesn't do this anymore. And he's back in the day. I think now you'll have 5 weed plants. This guy had to grow up going. Like, the farm was filled with weed. Like, it was like, what's that movie called? Pineapple Express type of shit. I'm going in with the Fit Me setting powder just to set underneath my eyes, you know? So having confirmed that James was not present, the Mounties began to search the farm. The initial focus was to seize the marijuana plants, to seize the equipment, conduct a special green team from the RCMP's K9 division, or just the K division in Edmonton. According to the documents obtained by CBC, the Fifth Estate, the court case to have the search warrant made public, police seized 7 growing marijuana plants and 88 harvest plants from the residents. Plus, they also seized 192 growing marijuana plants along with growing equipment from the farm. So he had himself a little, you know, he had something going on. It wasn't a small grow up. It was, he knew what he was doing. The marijuana search concluded around 3 a.m. on March 3rd. Ooh, get the blubbies. In 2005. All but 2 Mounties were left at this point, with the exception of an RCMP team with a specialism in stolen vehicle search would arrive in the morning. Constable Anthony Gordon and Leo Johnson remained on the scene until the morning, just in case, you know, he came back or other people came, you know, people he would sell to. They're like, we need to keep these people here. We need to have somebody kind of watch. You can't just go seize them all and be like, hey, see you later. We're about to leave this place and call it a day. And then when the guy comes back, he'll be all pissed, but we don't care. So they left the 2 constables there and they're just gonna do security measures during the night. The Mounties had several parked cars. They had unmarked cars kind of around the area. You know, they're still looking for James and they're just kind of waiting it out. As security measures went on during the night, and they had all these vehicles going around the farm area with the lights, they also left the vehicle doors and the main door of the farm wide open with bright lights shining down, so it was very unappealing for him to go. The lights were also left on the dwelling, and the purpose was to make it clear that Mounties were on the scene in the investigation, so James would not want to come back. Once James fled the scene, he called this man named Sean, and Sean was said to be his kind of co-partner in the grow up, and he was a bad guy, you know, not the nicest dude, but he was in Barhead. He called him and was like, hey, I want to store my truck here while the cops are at my farm. Can I come bring it and store it on your property? And Sean was like, no, I'm not going to do that, but let me call my brother. His brother's name was Dennis Cheeseman. Shit you not. His name was Cheeseman. And he called Cheeseman and was like, hey, can we store my friend's truck here? And the guy was like, hell yeah, you can. Just stop on by the Cheeseman farm and we'll get the truck out of plain sight. So, you know, he went to Sean. Sean then went to Cheeseman, and they arrived separately to Cheeseman's farm. James was armed with a handgun, and he asked for the Winchester rifle that he knew that Sean had. He's like, give me this, and had been given by his grandfather, Sean's grandfather. He's like, can I have that gun? And he was like, okay. So Sean got the rifle and gave him a magnum with ammunition. So he was like, let me set this bad boy up for you and take it so you can go. So James at this time, he kind of had the idea like, yeah, I am going to cause some shit. I'm not going to go nicely. I'm probably going to go. So at this point, he's still with Cheeseman, and Cheeseman seems like a game-changing type of dude who's like down to do anything. So he's like, Cheeseman, can you help me? And Cheeseman's like, yes, I can, or else my name isn't Cheeseman. So at this point, he has the gun, and he asked, you know, he wipes down the gun so there's no prints, because that's just how. Now I'm going to do the hourglass blush. I love this stuff. So he wipes down the handgun. Cheeseman got a pillowcase with some gloves. He puts on the gloves, and he puts the rifle in the pillowcase and gives it to James and was like, here you go, have fun. Live your best life. It was clear to all that James was enraged with the police. He was not happy with them. He said that he was going to go back to the farm to burn it down with the evidence of the crops, of the chop shop, and of the grow up. He had decided to hide the truck at his aunt's home and asked Sean and Cheeseman to follow him there. Then drove him to his own farm, then agreed to do so. His aunt's house was like 38.5 kilometers from James's farm, so it was a bit of a distance, and it would have took him a while to walk if he was going to. So he's like, I ain't gonna walk this, can you guys do this? And they're like, yeah, we'll definitely bring you back to the farm, which I thought was dumb of them, but whatever. So after parking his truck at his aunt's house, James got into the car driven by Sean, who drove him back to the area of James's farm. And on the way, James continued to rant about the RCMP, saying that he would get even with them. Cheeseman later said James' rant was the devil's talking. And I always say, when you're not happy with the RCMP and you feel like you want to kill someone, say the devil did it. Tell them that the devil was the reason why you did it, because most people, you get out of an insane asylum pretty quick in Canada, but you don't get out of jail that quick. On the way, James was like, okay guys, go to the place past my house, not the one, like the road right to my house, because I don't want the cops to see me. I just want to go a little bit past. So he tells Cheeseman and Sean to drive past, and they do, to the next road. They could see all the lights of the police cars at the farm, at James's farm, and they're like, hey, this might not be the best idea. Sometimes between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. on March 3rd, 2005, Sean and Cheeseman drop James off. He pulled heavy socks over his boots, probably to hide his footprints and his tracks in the snow. He grabbed Sean's rifle and set off towards his farm, and he wanted to do some damage. That was the one thing he wanted to do. He wanted to go in and, you know, cause commotion. So he was planning on doing that. Let me find a proper brush. I don't even know what I'm going to do. This one has purple on it. Ooh, when did I do a purple look last? Anyone know? Guess we'll find out. So as he's deciding now that he is going to go to his farm. After they were driving away, Cheeseman suggested to Sean that they call the police, but Sean was like, hell no. We'll just, we'll wait and see what happens, you know, let the fun kind of begin type of thing was Sean's kind of, you know, thing. He's like, I don't care. Like, he was obviously in the grow up and stuff, so he didn't really want to get like too much involved. So he was like, you know what's going to look even worse? Whatever James is going to do. So let's just let him do whatever he feels is necessary right now. So they didn't call anyone. On the morning of March 3rd, Anthony Gordon and Leo Johnson were still providing scene security pending the arrival of the RCMP auto theft investigation. In a telephone report around 9 a.m., Constable Johnson advised Corporal Martin that the night had been uneventful. Corporal Martin decided to send Constable Morrell to the scene to assist with the search of the auto theft investigation. Constable Sherman, sorry for me butchering his name, was not assigned to work that scene, but agreed to drop off Constable Morrell. They also agreed that they would pick up some meat at the veterinary to sedate and feed the dogs. So they're like, you know, we could do this might be the easiest thing for us to do, and they all kind of agreed. We'll just, you know, get some sedation. We'll also, then we can put the dog food, put the sedation in the dog food. The dog food can, the dogs will eat it, and then we can bring them to the vet. Simple, simple, simple. And they haven't been fed, you know, the dogs haven't really been fed that much because of all this stuff going on and then finding all this crazy stuff. So they were worried about the dogs, which is 100% me. If I was an RCMP officer, I'd be like, well, what about the dogs? The dogs need to eat. So that's what they did. 2 more RCMP officers arrived around 10 a.m. They were there. They were from the auto theft unit, so they like specialized in this shit. And they were like, okay, we're here now. And they saw that the Mayerthorpe RCMP officers were over by where the dogs were. And they were like, okay, cool, like, go do whatever. And they were feeding the dogs the meat. They could clearly see that. The sedation meat for the dogs and trying to sedate them. So they're like, nice, we'll just go over here. And they noticed that the farm gates were still open, as they have been all night, because no one shut them, because, you know, the Mounties had them like that all night. So it was kind of like, whatever, right? And known to the Mounties that James was inside the farm. So they didn't even know that he was there, and no one could really figure out when he even got there. He was dressed for nighttime, and he had pillowcases and stuff. They did later find a sheet that he was sleeping under while he was, you know, waiting for the perfect time to strike. He also, this is a lot more greener. It looks a lot different in the pan, but that is okay. We will roll with it. But they were also like, they kind of found that stuff later, aftermath. So no one really knew when James got here, but everyone said that they kind of thought that he got there a little bit around daylight, because he probably wasn't there for that long. The 4 Mayerthorpe Mounties entered the farm outside, entered the barn outside the area. Constable outside the barn was Constable Hogestrat. He was one of the RCMP officers that came from Edmonton, and the other one heard loud bangings followed by several other sounds which they recognized as gunfire. They also heard screaming from within the barn. Constable Hogedog ran to the radio and reported, officer down, officer down. Constable Vigo, I think is how you say his name, started to enter the barn when James came out. He had the hunting rifle ready to go and was like, he had it slung and ready to shoot. So James at this point had his rifle slung on his back, a pistol in the belt, and an MG3 semi-automatic rifle in his hands. He was just casually walking out when he saw Constable Vigo and stopped, apparently surprised that there were more Mounties on his farm. He was like, oh, this isn't it? I thought I got y'all. So he was very surprised when he saw him, and then he quickly recovered his firearms, 2 shots at Constable Vigo, who took shelter behind a vehicle, and returned fire for 2 shots of his side firearm. Both of his shots hit James, who stumbled backwards into the barn. So they're like, okay, that was good, you know. We hit him. Everyone can be happy about that we hit him. I'm just gonna bust out. I'm actually kind of like that. So Constable, I think it's Hogstrot, was unable to make radio contact with the officers in the barn. The RCMP emergency response team, called by 10:13 a.m. was supposed to arrive by 11:52 from Edmonton, which is normally an hour away from Mayerthorpe. An unarmed vehicle, an armored vehicle from the Edmonton Canada Force team was called in, but subsequently stood down as it wasn't needed at the time. The emergency response team sent in remote mobile investigators, because I can't read, a robot with a video camera attached to determine that all 4 officers and James were dead. The fatal injuries later determined that James killed all 4 officers, who died almost instantly, which is good to hear that they died instantly. Like, if you think about it, I'm not trying to sound like, oh, that was great that he killed them. I'm just trying to say, like, it's good that they died so quick, if you get what I mean. So they died instantly. He killed them all. Only Constable Johnson was able to return a fire with 1 shot. James was wounded in the hand and in the thigh, but the shots fired by Constable Virgo outside the barn, the shot to his thigh fractured his femur. After he went back into the barn, he turned his weapon on himself. So he was like, I'm done with this. I think I made them pay enough and I'm out. Is pretty much what I kind of got from everything that kind of happened. It's still really sad that during this whole thing, he managed to kill a couple officers who probably had wives and kids and families, and, you know, got a little bit of a Grinch vibe going on here. She got a Grinch vibe. I hate doing under my eye and talking. She got a Grinch vibe. I want to see if you guys see the same thing. This is like a forest green. Like, do you guys get that vibe? Forest green? That's the color I used on my eyes. This is more vibrant. Like, I was really hoping to get that forest green type of vibe, but I didn't. That's okay, whatever. So the police officers killed in the Mayerthorpe tragedy are referred to as the Fallen Four. Constable Johnstone, Marlowe, Sheeman were based out of Mayerthorpe RCMP detachment, while Constable Gordon was based out of Whitecourt detachment, which is still very, very close. Constable Anthony Gordon was born in Edmonton and was raised in Red Deer, became a police officer October 2002. He was stationed in Whitecourt, west of Mayerthorpe, again, very, very close, where he was assigned to general policing and highway patrol. He was 28 at the time of his death, so still, I'm not even 28 yet. So he was very young. Leo Johnson became a member of the RCMP in 2001. He was from our River, Alberta, and began his career in nearby Lac La Biche, so again, very close, before being transferred to Mayerthorpe. He was 32 of his time of death. He was married, and his wife Kelly, he married his wife Kelly on the 13th. So they were married for not even a year. That's actually really sad. He married her November 13, 2004, and he died March 3rd, 2005. So it wasn't even a year. Then we had Brock Mayroll. Mayroll was the other one, who was born in Outlook, Saskatchewan. I was going to say Saskatoon, but it was Saskatchewan. He was raised in Red Deer. He had just graduated from the RCMP. From Depot, he was an officer with the Mayerthorpe RCMP for less than 3 weeks. At the time of the tragedy, he was 29 years old at the time of his death. Still sad, very sad, super young, just starting his career. Peter Sheeman became a member of the RCMP in 2000 from Ontario. He was raised in Stony Plain. I lived there. Shout out to Stony Plain. He began his career in Mayerthorpe and was assigned to general policing and highway patrol. He was 25 at his death. Post-shooting investigation was conducted. That's so sad. They were so young. My eyes. So now I'm going to do a little eyeliner kind of thing, I think is what I'm going to do with brown. All right, so James, I always find I mess up. Yeah, so they began an extensive investigation onto the shooting, which lasted 2 years. They spent more than $2 million on this investigation. The tragedy, with over 200 officers involved in the case between 2005 and 2007, and the time charges were laid in 2007. There was still 40 Mounties working on it, so it went on. The Mounties went to find out that James had returned to his farm. His truck was found at the aunt's residence. which was 38 kilometers away from his house, suggested that he had received some assistance in returning. So that's when we started to they were like, okay, well, he couldn't have done this all himself. Like I said, it would have took him like a day to walk there. He would have not got there in time. So he would have not got there in time. So they were like, something's up. Something's up with this, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it. This look, I don't want to do like a heavy lash. I kind of want to do more natural eyelashes. What do you think? I think that. Not like you guys are gonna have a preference when I do the video. You're gonna see it. Do a poll. No. I don't know what's going on outside. People are going crazy. So they did an extensive search on this guy's property. Like, when I say extensive, I mean extensive. Like, they used subsurface x-rays, they used a raid gun, they used air drones, infrared methods, a backhoe was also used, the searching techniques of local rumors that James had made major caches on drugs and weapons, and there were tunnels underneath his farm. People were making up some shit. Like, it was crazy. And he had to use the tunnels to get the drugs in and out of his barn. The search found sheets and pillowcases containing a pair of working gloves, a small bottle of water, and a tin of bear spray. The northeast corner of the barn. The inquirer concluded that James had likely concealed himself in that spot for some time, but he actually been in the southeast corner of the barn when he fired his shots. DNA analysis found that Sean's DNA was on the working gloves. So then they kind of realized he did have help. They were like, because Sean also has a criminal record, right? This guy was bad news too. Oh my God. So like, this guy has a criminal record, so we now need to go get him and figure out, how did James get back to the farm? They were conducting the search, and they found the DNA and everything. They also found weapons hidden in spots of the barn, including empty gun bags that was the right size to hold different types of semi-automatics. They found all kinds of stuff, shotguns, and they were hidden all over the place. And they were wondering, how did he get all this stuff here? So they kind of realized that he brought some stuff, but he must have also had some things hiding around the barn before the cops even, the cops didn't even find them. So that was the crazy part. The cops did a search warrant and they found all this stuff. So it's like, So the Mounties did an investigation on each gun that they found. They did, it was very extensive. Like I said, it took 2 years, and where these guns came from. The Mounties also investigated the Winchester hunting rifle that was registered to Sean. So Sean's not looking good. To me, they're like, okay, Sean must have been here, right? They found DNA. They knew it was his grandfather's gun. It's registered under his name. He's a convicted criminal. What else can we find on this dude? They were like, hey, this is Sean's gun. And how did James get it? So they got Sean and they asked him, and he said what any good criminal does. And he told the truth. He said, I don't know how they got that gun, officer. I just don't know. So they're like, that's not the answer. And that the rifle had been stolen 4 months ago before the shooting. Sean actually admitted, and he and his mother had alerted his grandfather that James had the rifle. So he did admit that he gave it. John admitted that he had told his daughter and grandson that all those stories to police should add up, and the rifle had been stolen. So he did, he got caught. He got caught fucking lying, and it didn't work out. And you shouldn't trust your kids right, that they're gonna lie for you. I'd be like, so they also did some cell phones, and they checked his cell phone records, and they found that on John's body, they found his they found his cell phone. The police obtained a warrant to track his uses of the phone, and they found that he began to use his phone around the time he left on March 2nd, and then he did it again shortly before 1 a.m. Investigations into his phone showed that he had called his mother, who had called his aunt. Interviews of his mother and aunt revealed that they had been seeking permission to hide his truck at his aunt's property. So he's really like getting the whole family involved, getting everyone involved, right? He's like, you know what? If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna bring everyone with me. Phone also showed that James called Sean's place of employment in Barhead and made several calls to a bag phone, which Sean was using in his employment. James had also made several calls to Sean's residence looking for him. When information about the cell phones came public later in the year of 2006, Sean tearfully denied to reporters of the Global Mail that he knew anything about the events and why James was calling him. He's like, I don't know why that guy was calling me. Like, you guys are tripping. Like, I had nothing to do with it. Which, like, even if he did tell the truth, he didn't really have much to do with it. He gave the gun to the dude, and that was about it. So motor charges were laid July 9th, 2007. Sean, then 28 years old, and Cheeseman, 23 years old, were charged as parties to the offense committed by James. In 2006, Sean had denied any links to the crime, although neither man was at the crime scene when the shooting took place. Under Canadian law, anyone who is a party of the murder of a police officer acting in the course of their duties can be charged with first-degree murder under the criminal code. In June 2008, they were committed to stand trial on the murder charges after a preliminary inquiry of the provincial court. So they still were going to get busted, which kind of sucks for them because they didn't do anything. They just like, and he didn't even say he was going to go kill them. He was just like, eh. So the manslaughter charges happened. So on January 19, 2006, Sean and Cheeseman pled guilty to 4 counts of a lesser charge of manslaughter. So they took a deal. And on January 30th, Court of Queen's Bench gave the decision on the sentencing for the two, which was based on an agreed statement on facts signed by Sean and Cheeseman, the lawyers, and the Crown prosecutor. The Crown was seeking a sentence in a range of 10 years, while the defense counsel argued the sentence should be ranged to 3 to 5. 3 to 5 poor person that they killed, in my thought. So in his decision, the Court of Queen's Bench rejected the defense position and accepted the Crown's position. He held that fit sentence for Sean was 15 years imprisonment, while the fit sentence for Cheeseman was 12. Cheeseman kind of, I don't know, he probably should have got less than that, but whatever. The court gave them credit for their early guilty pleas for time served awaiting and reduced their initial time in jail. So Sean's sentence was 10 years plus 4 months, and then Cheeseman was 7 years plus 2.5 months because he got, like, you know, kind of a deal. Both men appealed, as they do, because they don't believe that they did anything wrong. Their sentences in the Alberta Court of Appeal. On September 27th, the court dismissed Hennessy's appeal. The court dismissed Cheeseman's appeal by a 2-to-1 majority, and they said, see you later, and go back to jail. So Cheeseman was released and granted a release in 2013 after serving 2/3 of his sentences without an incident, and then Hennessy was paroled in 2015. A memorial of the fallen four is at Mayerthorpe. It's actually very beautiful. I'll put it up here. I'll get a photo and put it up here for you guys. It's beautiful. It's a statue, the 4 people, it's concrete, it's beautiful. Like I said, the Prime Minister, Paul Martin, and the Governor General, Adrian Clarkson, both spoke at the service. In addition to the families and the dignitaries, nearly 10,000 police officers from Canada and the United States were in attendance. On May 19, 2005, Queen Elizabeth attended a ceremony in honor of the slain officers at the RCMP Academy. So the Fallen Four Memorial Society was founded to honor the slain policemen. The group initially intended to build the Fallen Four Memorial Park in Mayerthorpe, with statues of each officer, which opened on the 4th, July 4th, 2008. It's beautiful there. Like I said, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It is great. So this is my final look. What do you guys think? You guys like it? No, yes, no, yes. It's a little green. This isn't exactly what the thing was I saw online. But again, the green I thought was a lot different. Whatever, it is what it is. So my final thoughts on this was, to me, it felt like they had to just, you know, get someone, because it was horrendous what he did. He killed 4 police officers, but they did drive him back to his farm, and they did give him guns and stuff like that. So like they were like accessories to the murder. I get that. However, he never said anything. He just said that, oh, they're going to get what they want, like they deserve. I'm pissed at them. He never said, I'm going to go in there, sleep, and then I'm going to kill 4 officers. Can you guys drive me? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. He didn't. He just said that he was pissed off and wanted to go back to his farm. And the cops are going to get what they deserved, which, like, we all know what that is. But I still don't think they should have went to jail for that long. Again, I think they needed to get someone. 4 cops died and the guy put a gun to themselves. We're going to find somebody, right? We're not going to let this one slide. And that's exactly what I think they did. Do I think Cheeseman and Sean are horrible people? Yes. Do I believe that they probably should have been let out? Yes. But they also didn't kill anyone, you know? James should have gone to jail forever, but he killed himself, which is like the selfish way, in my opinion. You're going to go ruin 4 lives of young police officers, 3 weeks in, and he gets murdered, and you're gonna just be like, I'm gonna pull the gun on myself? Like, grow up, be a man, and don't kill yourself and face the jail time. You'd probably be considered a god in the prison system because you killed 4 police officers. I know in the States, if you do that, everyone like loves you. So that is my final thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you think that Cheeseman and Sean should have went to jail for this? Do you think that they just did it because they wanted to bust someone? What do you guys' final thoughts are? What do you guys think actually, like, what should have happened? Should have these guys got a lesser sentence, not a manslaughter charge? Because they technically didn't do anything but drive the guy there. I want to know what you guys thought. This is a tricky one. And it's such a touching case here in Canada. Like, this one made national headlines. This was brutal when this happened. It was the worst thing ever. Again, over a chop shop and a small marijuana grow up. 4 people had to lose their lives on the line of duty. Like, it's flipping horrible. It was horrible. Like, I have a lot of friends who are RCMP officers or sheriffs and stuff like that. And it just, like, just to think that that could happen, that they walk into a dangerous situation where emotions are heightened and no one knows what the outcome could be. They could be shot, they could be beaten, they could, you know, like, it's just such a horrible thing to happen to anyone. Anyone who goes to work shouldn't be thinking that they're going to die on their job. And I know the RCMP, that's probably in the back of their head with any type of job like that, but it's still, it was a horrible thing that happened. So let me know down below, guys, what your guys' final thoughts on this case was. Should they go to jail? Have you guys been to the memorial? I've been there a couple times. It's beautiful. I just want to know what you guys kind of thought about this. It was a pretty devastating thing. Also, I am 1 subscriber away from doing my giveaway for everyone. So please, please, please like and subscribe this video. I'll have it down there. Like and subscribe. There's also a bell, so every time I upload, you'll get a little notification, so you'll never miss a video coming from moi. Again, I want to thank each and every one of you guys who come out and watch my videos on the daily. It means the world to me. I've had my OGs, I've had my newbies. It doesn't matter. We all come together and enjoy true crime. So thank you guys again. Please, again, like and subscribe so I can do a giveaway. I am going to be making some merch, or just a couple shirts here and there. Let me know if you guys would be interested in one. I think it's going to be super cool. And yeah, just let me know what you guys want to see next, who you guys want me to do next. I have a couple cases that are kind of like this. I find the newer ones, a lot of people just jump on, but again, it's very sensitive. There's a couple cases around where I live that I've had people ask me to do, but it's very sensitive stuff. And I know we're here for the stories, and we're here to talk about true crimes that have happened and to give light to them, and, you know, just to listen. So learn from them. But I don't know. Let me know who I should do next, guys, right? Again, thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye.